The team was able to kind of have like a little mini preseason after being eliminated from the League Cup. How beneficial was that for you guys to just kind of regroup and get together and work on things that you needed to work on?
Yeah, I think that was probably the only silver lining, getting knocked out so early. I think it was obviously extremely disappointing, but it allowed us some time to kind of have a little bit of a mental reset. And of course, we brought a lot of new players in, so I think just getting to know those guys in training, I think when you have games every 3 or 4 days like we would have, obviously it would have been difficult, but to be able to kind of integrate them, I think has been beneficial. As you've seen, they've done well in the first game, and looking forward to kind of keep building and get a couple guys in.
And then for you as a goalkeeper, how important was that kind of that time so that you had some time with Roger as you kind of just joined the mid-season as well?
Yeah, I think it's always difficult when you're changing a little bit of things, but just trying to welcome guys. Of course, there's a little bit of a language barrier as well, so trying to work on my Spanish, and hopefully he's working on his English. But I think obviously we have a few guys that can speak both, so just kind of getting to learn each other on the field though, as well as where they want the ball, how they defend, where I want the ball, what I expect from them, what they expect from me, knowing that they can count on me, things like that, just building that relationship.
We had 2 MLS debuts this past game with Jefferson and Kelvin. What did you see from them in the first game with those few sessions that you guys had together?
Yeah, I think we know Kelvin can be very direct, and we trust him in front of goal. And I think we know the intensity that Kelvin brings and the composure on the ball. And I think we know that he'll be looking forward to kind of building. Both of them will be looking forward to build on that performance.
And the team has had a few defensive issues in the second half of the season. What can the team continue to work on to improve on those mistakes?
Yeah, I think most of it comes down to mentality. I think if we look at it, we know that most of the goals that we've conceded have been very preventable, whether they've been individual mistakes or tactical errors and things like that. So we know if we can kind of clean that up, not many teams have been breaking us down recently. So I think obviously keeping 11 guys on the field will help us as well.
And then traveling to San Jose, the team you saw before League Cup break, what can you take away from that game and your last performance against Seattle to get a solid result in the final stretch of the season?
Yeah, we know we're at that point in the season where every game is very important and can really affect the standings, and we need to collect as many points as possible. So I think we have to go in there and into every game with the mentality that we're going to go and get 3 points. And of course, we know that they've had a little bit of a bump since their League Cup. But looking to disrupt that and go in there and get 3 points.
Obviously not the result we wanted on Saturday, but I know you're always one to look at the positives. What do you take away from that, and talk about the debuts of some of the new players as well?
Yeah, we're finding analysing where we are now difficult as a group of staff and a group of players, because on one hand that felt like day one of a new season, given how the group's changed so much over the course of the year. I think we're up to probably the usage of our 35th player over not many games. So we feel really positive about the last 3 weeks. We've really loved working with a full group of players that are a group that will come good eventually, but we're also analysing that in the context of a group of people. And when I say a group of people, I mean the players, the staff, the guys around the team, the club, and the fans that want to make the playoffs come the end of the year. So there is an element of urgency and desperation that is also wrapped around that. And I think I'm probably the one here that's tasked most with making sure that we're sensible in terms of keeping the bigger picture in mind and keeping a sense of perspective as to where we are and what we've gone through, but also making sure we're pushing and doing everything we can to make sure that we see results on a weekend. And I think that Seattle game was frustrating in that sense, because I think everyone would have looked at that team and thought, well, that's a big step forward in comparison to where the group's been over the course of the last probably 2-3 months. You've seen real impact from the players that we've brought in who are in early stages of their own pre-seasons. You've seen a team that probably for the first time in a long while has, I would say, dominated that game. We've had a good share of the ball. We've had a load of chances. We've played with some real rhythm and pattern, and I would say, I sort of hate to use this word early, but you can see the sort of emergence of a real identity to that team, and that's why largely I'm positive. But we've lost the game. We've lost the game in a way in which we've lost a couple of games recently, which has been frustrating. So the overall feeling is frustration, but I know it full well as soon as you come back in on Monday, it feels different. Tuesday, we've had a really good day today, and I know we'll have a really good day tomorrow. So I think big picture, we're feeling positive, but we're frustrated at the same time.
You talk about identity. It's something that's sort of based on circumstances had to shift quite a bit throughout this year, whether it's missing players or sort of injuries. How nice is it now to have sort of that full complement for you, that someone that hasn't shied away from adjusting tactical?
No, we want to have. And this is not in any way being disrespectful to the group of players that we had in the middle of the season, but it's genuinely felt like 3 seasons this has, where we had a really good start with a group of players that had come together in an odd set of circumstances. We had a very difficult middle period with players that I'm sure a lot of them would be the first to say were definitely not ready for lots of minutes in the MLS, and now we've got a group of players that I feel can really come together. Our battle now is seeing whether that can come together in the very short time span that we've got in front of us. So I'm really enjoying the work. I'm really enjoying the tools that we've got at our disposal at the moment, and I think the guys that we've brought in have really added in an immediate sense on the pitch, but they've also added to how it feels day to day. And I think Kelvin and Jefferson, they take a lot of credit there, and the other guys that are yet to see the field but have really supported, and hopefully we're not far off Joaquin Pereira joining us, who I think will be a really good addition as well.
Looking ahead to San Jose this weekend, the last win we had in MLS play, how important is it to get a result this week?
Yeah, we'll put a lot of pressure on ourselves to go there and get a result. Of course, that would logically be the case given where they are. They've of course picked up in the last couple of weeks, had a really good result against Salt Lake last week, which is perhaps not phenomenal timing for us, but we've got to go there feeling confident on the back of last week, and in the frustration there is still a base of a really good team and something that we can really grab onto and take forward, and we've got to go there with a healthy sense of pressure and expectation, and the players have to deal with that, because that is ultimately where we want to be. We want to be a team that feels pressure to win every game, and that there's an expectation that we can do so we want to start building that, and Saturday is a good start point for that.
And is there any extra consideration to these teams that are against these Western Conference opponents, right, that are right around us in the table, sort of 6-point games, whether it's Vancouver, San Jose this week, St. Louis? Do you put any extra emphasis on those games? You know how important they can be?
No, not explicitly. I don't think it makes. I don't think the group is struggling for motivation at the moment. I'm certainly not looking at the group or any of the difficulties that we've had really, and it being as a consequence of a team that doesn't want to win games, that doesn't want to move forward. So I don't think they need to be spun in that way, those games, but of course they do take on real importance, and that's why a game against Seattle that you lose is sickening in comparison to an outcome in which you win and suddenly the table looks entirely differently, and San Jose is another example of that. So we've got to use the pressure. We've got to try and build a group of players here that thrive on situations that are relatively high pressure, and that will be a big step in doing so.